On a Saturday morning with an artist touching up the outside of East Downtown,
30 seconds, athletes ready!
Athletes inside CrossFit Edo were busy with a little sculpting of their own.
Go!
CrossFit is all the rage, we know that, with men and women lifting weights, jumping boxes, and rowing their way to peak physical condition. But what if
That happened in Pleasanton, so about 30 minutes out of San Antonio.
you lost your arm in a rollover crash?
Shredded the muscle, bone, nerves, everything.
Lost your right hand to a terrorist shotgun blast?
It really was the only way to give me a good chance of long-term survival.
Chose amputation to save you from bone cancer?
I was blown up Christmas Day of 2011, stepped on a toe popper.
Or a leg to a roadside bomb in Afghanistan? Well, you compete right alongside everybody else. This competition put able-bodied and adaptive athletes side by side, where a Marine amputee can show his brute strength again, a car crash survivor can reclaim her stubborn determination, where a cancer survivor can impress on just one leg, and where Superman with just one arm can bring that shirt to life.
It makes me feel like I can still be just as good, just as fit, as physically fit as the next guy, as mentally strong as the next guy.
I think we're all tough. You just need to find it within yourself. It took something like this for me to find that strength within myself.
I guess if you want to stay stuck where you're at, you stay there. If you want to move on forward, you push yourself to do it.
And then there's Justin Daniel Scott.
I broke my neck at C6, C7.
He's a partial quadriplegic, but he's here too.
When people watch me at competitions or play sports, I just want them to see me as an athlete.
People giving no excuses, and at the end of the day, we want to be on the same playing field and we want to raise the awareness for adaptive athletes.
In my day-to-day life, I think a lot of people feel sorry for me and want to coddle me and want, to hold the door open for me, and that's great, and I appreciate it. But like even at work, I work on the 3rd floor, and I like to take the stairs.
They describe it this way: when you spent so much of your life recovering from a terrible accident, an attack, or a devastating disease, this makes you feel alive.
If you know who I am, there's no need to feel sorry. If I felt sorry for myself, I wouldn't be here.
And in watching all this, they hope you see something, or maybe see nothing unusual at all.
Look at me like a normal person, because I am. I'm just like you, you're just like me, and that's just who we are. I just happen to not have an arm.
And no excuses either to get right back into the game. Kevin Reece, KHOU, 11 News.
Well, I had the every man's dream life, I guess.
His name is Timothy Marsh, a husband, a father to a blended family of 7 kids. He did have every man's dream. You can see it in his family pictures. But then one morning, he just didn't have the strength to get out of bed.
They did a scan, and that's what they came back and said, that you had cancer.
My knees buckled when the doctor said that.
His wife, Eleanor, remembers the exact moment. So does his daughter, Andronique.
I just immediately broke down because I couldn't imagine life, without my father.
And that just turned our world just completely upside down.
Because doctors gave him just 3 months to live, 6 months at most. And as he prepared himself for the end, he had one regret. He wouldn't live long enough to walk his daughter down the aisle at her wedding scheduled for next year.
We can ride it out and, die, or we can be a light and be a testimony to other people.
Timothy Marsh chose to be a light. It happened on Father's Day, River Point Church in Richmond. He chose the music himself.
I watched you dance like Cinderella.
A song called Daddy's Little Girl.
We gather here because this dad knows how important it is to show up for his family.
The ceremony was a mock wedding, but a real chance to be the dad he wanted to be.
And when you say I love you, Dad.
And then he did the same for his 7-year-old daughter, too.
And I just couldn't understand which was more powerful, the weakness or the strength that it took for him to do that. And it took a lot.
This man, he's so weak at this point, but he gave all of his strength to do this for me.
Timothy Marsh made that walk with his last ounce of strength. He died just 8 days later, but he left his daughters a memory.
It touched my heart. It touched my soul so much.
And he hoped for other dads he left a message.
That this would just get some other man to step up and see how important it is that the man is the first man that his daughter is going to look at. And it is.
Now when I look at it, I smile. He did all this for me and for my little sister just to make us happy.
That was the best gift.
A gift for a daughter, a message for dads to be there for their family even to the end.
Because once you're gone, all you have is memories. So just cherish her, cherish each other.
Because who a dad is to his daughter matters forever. Kevin Reece, KHOU, 11 News. Shortly after Myron and Gwendolyn Cloyd got married,
we married on May 1st, 1999.
They found out life is held together with the slightest and most fragile of threads. Theirs began to unravel on a trip to London. Gwen was 22 weeks pregnant. Her doctor approved the trip, but she stepped off the plane and went directly to a hospital in labor.
At the time, for me, it was the toughest thing I'd ever been through.
They named him Jackson. He weighed only 1 pound, 10 ounces, his head smaller than his mom's hand. And a father and his tiny son spent every day in the hospital like this together.
You know, if I can just love him, if I can hold him, I can touch him, if I can keep him. As you know, as a parent, you know, you're looking forward to the birth of your child with great anticipation and joy. And just to have this, you know, fear about, you know, losing him.
But after 4 months in a London hospital, they didn't lose him. A midwife wrapped little Jackson in a homemade quilt she made especially for him and sent the Houston family home. Fast forward 13 years.
It keeps on like jamming up, hold up.
And Jackson is adding a few threads of his own. The 8th grader is almost an Eagle Scout now.
And it was comforting.
A scout who still has that preemie quilt that London nurse gave him, and with the help of a local quilting club, he's made 8 more, each one with a label that says from one preemie to another, because Jackson and his dad are flying back to London to St. Guy's Hospital.
I'm really excited. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
To give 8 more premature infants the same gift a London nurse gave him.
The quilt, it gave my parents like help and warmth and love. And so I figured if other people are going through that same situation, that I could give them those same feelings through a quilt.
But this time, his mom won't be there.
Okay, so I just need to sew this piece.
She died of cancer in 2008.
I just miss her like being around and stuff.
Jackson is going back to London for the first time to honor his mother's memory too.
I feel like it will make me closer to her because it was the quilt comforted her a lot because she was she was stressed out a lot, and so I figured that I could give those quilts back and then it would like honor her a little bit.
I want to know how significant and fragile life is, and sometimes it hangs in a balance by a thread, but it's people helping you and being with you, and even if they're strangers, you know, giving of themselves so you can have life.
Friday, Jackson and his dad did make it to the hospital where he was born, delivered the quilts, and met the woman who made his 13 years ago.
I'm giving back to people, and I'm paying it forward, so that way they can have a good life like me as well. It just feels good to help people who are going through the same thing that I went through.
I've always thought I've been a proud papa, but, you know, I'm like super duper proud beyond what I can express now of him.
And so would his mom.
She'd be really proud of me.
Proud of a 1 pound, 10 ounce miracle, paying it forward, 1 stitch at a time. Kevin Reece, KHOU, 11 News.